Welcome to the Old Train Farm videos. Presented projects that Harry has going on the workbench. Today is an update on the W.B.Davis Company. More progress that I've made this week. Alright, now that I got them all set in place and know where each one's going, now I can slowly pull them out one by one. And with my trusty toothpick, I put a little dab of glue down here. So now I can put a dab of glue there, and a dab of glue on the back. Slowly get these things set into place one by one. These things are not easy. Find the hole there. Get my bolt set in place. Don't come out. Get it spun on the angle that I want. Get the nut set. There we go. So now I've got all the rest of these to glue in. We'll get all them glued in. Then I'll come back and we'll slowly paint each one. Show you how that goes. Alright, now that we can finally get back to the project here, got all these little through bolts. We've got to paint them and then we'll weather them up. I'm painting them with a dark brown to look like dark brown rust. And we'll get all of them painted. I'll start on this wall. I'm also going to paint the header above the door with a rust color. Put my glasses on here. And we'll start out with these one by one. We'll get them all painted up. Just take time and go around, get the edges. I probably have to lift the wall up and get down into the cracks. I just want to take my time. Get down in the corners here. I'll just go little by little. And what I'll do is I'll paint every one of these, and we'll get this top I-beam that's steel on this. We're going to paint this up a rusted color as well. That should look pretty good. But, work my way through. Shake this paint up a little bit more. A little thick. I'll come back, I'll have this all painted, and then I'll show you exactly what I go to for the next step after we paint all these little grommets on here. As you can see, I got the first one I started painting. I still got some touch-ups to do, but I'll get every one of these painted, and then I'll paint along the bottom here, or the should say the top of the door. That's a I-beam that they're using as a lintel. So we'll get that done. I get them painted. I'll come back and show you how that looks. Now that I got all the truss bolts painted up in the dark rust color, I want to go over all of these with a lighter rust color. So what I'm going to do, it'll bring out a lot of the detail. Just get some rust on my brush here. Got it. Just going to lightly go over them and put a small little streak down. One by one, I'll go over every one of them. And that'll give it a nice light rust coating. It'll actually bring out some of the detail in the bolt heads and so forth. That'll look good as a weathered piece. Go through these one by one. It's a lot easier to do than sitting here painting all those little truss bolts, that's for sure. But they all needed to be painted. We got them all painted, and now we're just giving them a rust. And if it's not dark enough for you, you can let it dry, come back and put another coat of rust on them. I'm going to do them little by little. Like that. Put a little more rust on there, let it leak down along the bottoms of the wall. I'll go through and I'll do every one of these. Let it leak down the wall. Gives that nice effect. I pretty much have this color. I've watered it down a lot to get it just so it flows. It flows pretty good on this stuff. And we'll get it all rusted up here. Get it to flow down there along the wall. Get rid of that air bubble. This makes it actually fairly simple to add rust to the job. And you can see it leaching down into the bricks like it would on a normal building. But like I said, it brings out all that little bolt detail. Get two more of them to do here. Get this one done. And then I'll get the rest of the walls done. Brings out all this detail. And in our cross beam, I'll do the same thing. We'll add some rust onto that. Just a nice light little coat. It looks pretty good. Next thing I'm going to wind up doing, we'll go through and we'll do the windows. I wanted to do them earlier and I decided not to. I decided, well, it had more little detail to add to these walls. And I think that came out great. And we'll do that. We'll get the windows in. And I guess we'll paint the doors and get those done. I don't know what color I want to do them yet. But we'll get there. The windows I had already previously showed that we painted them all gray. And then I'll show you the little pieces of wood that we have to paint and cut to match them. And we'll go from there. Now that we got our weathering done and so forth on all these little through bolts for the trusses, what I want to do is work on these windows. And the windows here, we get them in, if you look at them, there's actually a top and a bottom. And what you want to do is there's a little groove here. This window sticks out farther than this window. This window will be the bottom part of the window sashes, and this will be the upper window sash. If you look at them, as you can see right there, point out you can see the drop. You think about it as a household window when you look at it from outside. So what we want to do is we want to get our windows in. So we'll get them in the right direction. get these popped down in here and fit it into place. Shouldn't have to do any filing because we cleaned them up before we painted them. So we stick these all down in here. And they go in there. Get our edge. Get these stuck in. And get this stuck in. And then we have our upper window that's got to go in, and that'll go up in there like that. Now there's a gap that's in here. What we got to do is we got to cut a piece of wood like this that will fit right up in between these. And what I did was I pre-painted a piece of wood, the same as when we did the windows, to fit in its place. And what we're going to do, I'll set this off to the side. We need to cut a bunch of them for the other windows as well. And we got our one sample piece cut that we did. And what we'll do is we'll set this jig up to fit that length so that we can make the rest of these cuts for our windows. So what I need right at the moment is need a total of 4 for that one. I've got 2 that I've already pre-cut earlier. So let me get these cut. 1. And cut the second one. There's 2. So these, I got my 4 for that wall. Later I'll cut the rest when I do the other walls. But let me get this wall down here. So what we'll do, we'll get our window in place. These pieces that we cut, we set up in there. Drop our window down. Get everything locked in place. And then what we want to do, we want to come along, and on the back side, we'll take our toothpick with a little bit of glue, and we'll glue all our windows in place. We'll get the next one. We'll get all these wedged in here nice. We made them so they fit nice and tight. Made them so they're snug. That's good. It fits in there nice. Got all them fit in. Now we'll take our window, press them in there. Use the end of the, use that to lock them in pretty good. Fit in there really nice. You might have to do some test fitting and playing around to make sure they're good. That's good. And this doesn't just apply to this building, it applies to any building that you're building. But that's what they'll look like when they're finished, and we'll weather them up as we go along. And right now I'll glue them all in on the back, and that way then they're all set. Got one window that fell out. That's okay. Be fine once I get them all glued. So let me get all these glued in. No, that one doesn't want to stay, but that's okay. Grab my super glue. And let me find my little plastic jar there. I like to put my glue down here. Grab my toothpick. And as you know, I like to put the glue on with the toothpick. Works nice that way. You don't get too much glue on. Put a little glue there. A little on the edges. Means this is the one that didn't like to stay in. Put that one in first. Get that glued into place. And now it'll stay. Now I'll go through and I'll glue the rest of these windows in little by little. And just take your time on them so you're not getting glue on the glass itself. It don't take much to glue them in. There's a dab here and a dab there. And that's all I'm doing. I'll get all these windows glued in. And then next thing I'll do is I'll go back and I'll do the painting on the doors. That one wasn't pushed in tight enough. I'll push that in a little farther. Put my dabs of glue on. Watch the windows. Of course, I got a little on, so I got to wipe that off quickly. We are using a super glue. And I got all my windows pretty much glued in now. Get a little up on the tops. Across that top piece there. And you don't have to put a whole lot of glue to hold them in. Not like you're going to be beating on this building or anything. It's just going to be laying up on your layout together in a diorama on the layout. Alright. Got all my windows glued in. Now I'll figure out what colors I want for my windows, my door, and this is like a brass emblem up top or copper. We'll start painting that next. Now I'm going to take the top up here. This should be like a copper plate. What I'm going to do is I am going to paint it copper color first. Now if I can get the jar open. God, they are so tight. Need a pair of pliers to open them. I hate these jars when you can't get them open. You got to use a pair of pliers. Got our jar open. We're going to take our copper. We're going to paint this a copper color up top. That'll bring out the eagle, and later we'll go over it with a light wash of green. And the green paint will make it look like it's... Anyway, the green paint will go with a wash of green over it to make it look like it's tarnishing and stuff like that. But we want to first do it as it would look as if it was new. So we'll paint it in with the copper. As you notice on a lot of these, when I do buildings, I try to make things look like they would be new and then weather them. And to me, I think I like it that way a little better, because it puts my mind at, okay, this is what it should look like new. And I can decide how much weathering I want to do to an item. I don't have to completely weather it. Give it a partial weather like it's only a year or two old, or I can make it look like it's 100 years old. But by doing this, it also brings out some of the details. So I can use a little bit of black, a little bit of green to weather the copper, little by little. Good old sub pump's running. At least I know it's going to work. Get this all painted in. Take my time. do gotta say the best copper I found out there is this Tester's copper. Between their copper, their silver, their brass, they're really spot on colors. I'm just taking an old brush, brushing it on, just giving it a nice light coat, and gives that nice bronze look here, copper color. We got that done, and we'll let that sit and dry. Then we got these sections along here, which are decorative wood, and really haven't decided a color for the door or the front entrance. I do know I should be painting. We might have to paint it again, but there's the door handle. We'll go here. It doesn't have the doorknob on it at the moment, but we know that'll be either copper or brass, but we'll do it in copper. That's it for this part, and I'll come back. We'll do the door painting and trim around the door, and we'll do the bay door. Alright, for thinking about these doors, I thought about doing the red like we have for the trim with the green inner panels, and I think that might look good. I got my red here. If I don't like it, I can always go back and repaint this and so forth, but I think that's what I'm going to try first, and see how this looks. So take my red. It's the same red that we used for the outer trim, which was a pacemaker red. So I'm going to try this first, see if I like it. Yeah, it is a Victorian style warehouse from back in the day, and they had a lot of fancy ornate type of trim on them back in the 1900s all the way up into the 30s. They did a lot of fancy things on buildings back then. So I'm gonna try it like this. I'll get, looks like it'll take 2 coats of paint to get it to cover. Then again, I'm also going to weather this too when I get done. Give it a coat of paint, see how I like it, go from there. Work my way through here and do all this red. This will be a little by little. Get it all painted up. And then I'll do the green. I'm looking at just doing a dark green in the center of the doors. Just wondering if that won't look too Christmassy. Alright, I'll finish painting this and we'll go on. Alright, I took the time, I painted one of these panels the green to see what it looked like, and I actually like it. It looks pretty good. Took just about 3 coats on the red. I might have to go back a little bit later and put another coat on, but work on getting these door panels all painted. little by little. It's been raining out like crazy tonight. Sub pump you might hear run on and off. I think this building's going to look really good when it's done. Just take my time on it, and I'm in no rush to get this building done. I just want to do it right. And once we get it all painted up and looking like a new building, then we'll go through and I will do some weathering on this building. Yeah, to bring the doors to older look and so forth. This is what I'll be doing for a while. It'll take a bit to get all of these painted in, but it gives you the general idea of what it'll look like. I know I don't want to sit and be painting the whole thing and bore you guys. I can't wait as I get this done, get everything painted, and we'll soon be putting the walls together on it. Once we get the walls, I'm going to make a base for the building with a styrofoam. Got to do some flooring for this for the interior. Then the whole roof sections will be done, and they're quite interesting from what I've been going through on the directions. So that'll be really neat to do. Granted, the painting part of this gets quite boring, but I think you guys got an idea what it looks like. It'll probably take me an hour or two to get all this painted up, and I'll paint this as well. I think I'm going to do that with the red after looking at it and thinking about it, because all the other highlights on the building are red. So I'm going to do this with red, and I'll probably do maybe the circles here in green on the insides of the circles. I don't know yet, but that you'll see when I get done. So I'm going to paint this a while, and be a while on doing it, but I'll get back to you. Okay, I got the walls and I painted in these door panels with the green and the reds. Then I did the red trim around the main entrance there with the green, so it gives it that Victorian look. So this is our walls that are finished. I do thank you for following us, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. We very much appreciate it. And you can also find us on Facebook on our O-Gauge Model Railroading tips, tricks, and more. You can also catch us at Henning's Trains in Lansdale, PA, where we have your Lionel parts and accessories, along with your trains and any other items that you might need in O-Gauge, HO, N-Gauge, S-Gauge, and even some G-Gauge. You can also check us out on the Train Shop Weekly on YouTube on Sunday nights every other week. We thank you and have a good night.